Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content. All right, the Cavs play the Pacers this weekend. Let's jump into some questions that you guys had before the game. AVO_001 says the Cavs have a better offense, a better defense, more rest, and better minute management, and potentially outgas the Pacers even if it goes 6 games. Personally, I think the Pacers will be exhausted by game 4 and will fall to Cleveland in 5, but I honestly wouldn't be shocked by another sweep. I think this team has more surprises in store. So the way I look at the playoffs, right, there are things that we think we know about this Cavs team based off of what we've seen them do in the regular season. But the regular season is where you gain beliefs. The playoffs is where you confirm those beliefs. One of the things that I believed going into the playoffs is that all of this concern about the Cavs defense and their ability to turn on the switch and focus for a period of time, did they lose that? Is that something they could turn on? I felt like during the season they showed that that was something that they could do. In the first round, they proved that that was something that they could do. You feel me? Now, in the second round, what I want to see them prove is that they can play through not adversity, because I've seen them do that before, right? But that they can handle increased playoff level physicality and not let that become something that allows them to be underwhelming in the course of a series, right? We've seen it throughout the season when what refs decide to swallow their whistle. The Cleveland Cavaliers are quite okay with answering back physicality with physicality, answering back chippiness with more chippiness, and not letting those kind of things take them out their element. But I want that confirmed. I think that's what the Pacers are going to do. They're going to try to poke and prod and get under your skin because Rick Carlisle knows the same way that the Pacers know. They are not a better basketball team than the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are not a better roster. They are not deeper. They are not on par talent level with the Cavs. And even if you look at the record, the Pacers are a 50-win team. We're a 64-win team, and we really took the foot off the gas at the end of the season. We could be a 70-win team. We're a step above the Pacers and have been so the whole season. They are under full aware of this dynamic. So they're going to try to be annoying. I have a video coming out about that. Maybe it came out before this video. Maybe it comes out after. Depends on when I decide to release it. But that's a huge part of what the Pacers are going to try to do. That being said, if the Cavs handle that in the first 2 games, then I think there's a good chance they win game 3. And if they win game 3, maybe it goes to 5. Maybe it's a sweep. But if the Cavs can't handle that early on in the series, if that does become a problem, then that's when it becomes a 6 or 7 game series. So I agree with you. I think the Cavs will be fine in this series ultimately, but how long this series drags out depends on how well the Cavs confirm their ability to play through physicality, because they weren't really tested by Miami at all. Right Guy says, what do you think the Cavs will try to do defensively to slow down the Pacers offense? Do you see them shifting towards Halliburton along with his playmaking? I think what they're going to try to do with Tyrese is get the ball out of his hand and force the ball into some of their less playmaking-oriented players like Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner. Maybe the Cavs shut off the passing lanes, really stick in the zone, and force Tyrese to really play out of it. There's a number of ways, like shoot out of it. There's a number of ways I can see the Cavs attacking and trying to be aggressive with Tyrese. I don't think we're going to get a good read on it in game 1. I think they're going to just kind of play game 1 straight up, see what's a problem, see what's not a problem, and then adjust afterwards accordingly. But good question. Brandon Johnson says, Do you think any of the deeper bench guys might have earned any meaningful minutes in this series, since we saw more of them than I think anyone expected against the Heat? I think we saw it even during the Heat series, right? Where the game one, they're giving Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro like 12 minutes. And then by game three, you're really only seeing Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro when the game's out of hand, and really only exclusively in the second half of basketball games. I think that continues. The Cavs will be a primarily 8-man rotation. Maybe they give somebody 5 or 7 minutes in the second half when a big needs a blow, but I don't think they're going to use a 10-man rotation going forward in the playoffs. I think they're going to tighten it down. Maybe this is a series where you see more Dean Wade and Sam Merrill minutes, maybe even Isaac Okoro minutes. Like, you need guys who can be hawks in passing lanes against the Pacers. And maybe you want that extra length there. So I'm excited to see how Kenny cooks it up, but I do think he's going to be cooking it up with about 8 guys in the rotation primarily from game one to start here, instead of it being like the 10 like he did at the beginning of the last series. Quentin Turpin says, there are people that are saying that once Garland sat out for the last 2 games versus Miami, the Cavs were able to blitz them left and right on the court and do much better without him, which sort of indicates that he makes the team vulnerable. Do you think this has some kind of merit or no? I really don't, because, again, it's not like Miami was exploiting us offensively by going straight at Darius Garland when Darius was out there. Darius sat out, and I think that also lined up with when Kenny made the adjustment to top lock the Heat. I think that adjustment would have been made if Darius was out there, and who's to say that it wouldn't have been worse with Darius out there, right? The Cavs put such an ass whipping on the Miami Heat, it's hard to imagine that it could have been worse. But if this were the Celtics and they beat somebody by 50 points, and Jason Tatum wasn't out there, we wouldn't be like, oh my God, how good are the Celtics without Jason Tatum? We would be like, oh my God, what would have happened if Jason Tatum played, right? Jason Tatum has flaws. Jason Tatum shoots the ball too much, right? You can argue that Jason Tatum could make the team worse if you really wanted to, in the same way that people are reaching to make this the case with Darius Garland. Well, I think that's kind of what's happening. The Cavs beat them by so much that it's hard for some people to imagine that the Cavs could have made it worse. But I would like to invite people to the universe or to the reality that, hey, maybe Darius Garland being out there, having an extra shooter there, somebody who can, execute a top lock still on defense, could have made this worse for Miami. Like, maybe the Cavs do get the biggest blowout in NBA history against the Miami Heat if Darius plays. And maybe that's what stopped them from getting it. I wouldn't assume that Darius Garland being out meant better things for the Cavs. I think they made adjustments against the Miami Heat. And also Miami in those first couple of games were just making more unstable shots during the first 2 games, right? A lot of bailout threes, a lot of threes at the end of the buzzers, off 1 foot, like just ugly shots that just happened to go in. That stopped dropping for them in games 3 and 4. And the Cavs shot started dropping more. None of this reads to me Darius Garland made the team worse. And I hope Darius pretty early on in this series makes people who are making that argument look rather ridiculous. Tired says, is there a way to realistically keep Tai Jerome on this team? I think there is, but it heavily relies on Tai really preferring to be here over anywhere else, over any other opportunity, because we give him the best chance to win a championship. He can't go to all 32 teams, so I think that's the saving grace. Well, not 32, I'm tripping. All 28 teams or 29 teams in the association. So that's the saving grace. He can only go a couple of places. Those are the places that have the money to offer him. And none of those places are real championship contenders. So if Tai wants to compete for a championship, Cleveland's going to have to be the place that he has to be at. But that's also contingent on the Cleveland Cavaliers proving through this playoffs that they are a legitimate championship contender, which is heavily determined on how they get through Boston, or if they can get through Boston, or how they look when they play Boston. So, if the Cavs can prove that, I think that Tai wants to be on a winner, wants to be on a team where he fits already, has his friends. I think that would make Cleveland a great deal more attractive in order to keep Tai. Big Bird says, do you think we should see more of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen out on the floor at the same time in the second and third quarter with the Pacers having two pretty good bigs? Or will they do what the Heat did, which is bring in Hunter or Wade to play during the fourth? I think they're going to play more small ball versus Indiana because Indiana likes to play with pace. And they're going to want to run their bigs up and down. And you don't want to tire out both your elite bigs at the same time trying to keep pace with them. Also, they're going to throw out a lot of Obi Toppin in there. Like, they're going to put out these wings and these bigs and these stretch fours. I would want to go smaller with them because we can still be big and athletic in our small ball lineups. Like, we can put DeAndre out there with Dean Wade and Jared Allen or Evan Mobley, and then have Tai and Donovan out there, right? And then switch in another shift, and maybe you put in Isaac out there with Tai and Darius Garland, and then you keep one of Dean Wade or DeAndre Hunter out there with Jared Allen. So, I would probably go Dean Wade with Jared because Dean can shoot and rebound a little bit better. Well, Dean can rebound a little bit better than DeAndre. So I would put it out there. But he cannot shoot better than DeAndre. Let me not make that mistake. That would have been a horrific mistake to say. That is absolutely not true. Will Make It says, I got this series being what I call a 7-game series. Being that it's a sweep, but with the intensity and tension, competitiveness of the 7. So a really close 4-game sweep. It's possible. Again, I expect Indiana to be real pesky coming into this series. I think that's going to be their edge. And look, Indiana has some players that can go off. Tyrese Halliburton can get you 38 and really ruin your night. So, I wouldn't put it past the Pacers to give you a series here. But, yeah, I do favor the Cavs pretty heavily in this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.